I had a unique opportunity while I was flying with 425 Squadron on the Voodoo. In February of 1984, I was holding alert, which, as we neared the end of the squadron's life and the Voodoo's life in 1984, they had transitioned from a 5-minute quick reaction response to a 1-hour response, which meant we could be at home, but we had to be able to get to the base and get in the airplane and be airborne within an hour. And so I was on alert, holding alert, and I was called in and told we were deploying to Gander, Newfoundland, because there were Russian bears transiting the Atlantic on their way from Russia to Cuba. So myself and my backseater, Mike Latouche, we launched off from Bagotville, flew to Gander, and refueled the airplanes there, and got a briefing from the intelligence staff in Gander about what was happening, from what they knew from the other intercepts taking place on the bears from the Brits and the Americans in Iceland and what have you. And they gave us a launch time out of Gander. We took off and went out on combat air patrol to the location that ground control intercept took us to. And we went into a holding pattern looking with our radars for those aircraft until we found them. It was 2 Bear Deltas, and it was a daytime intercept, which was really unique. And we intercepted those 2 bears. One of us hung back in weapons parameters in case something hostile happened, while the other guy advanced to get a really good close look at the airplanes and make sure that their tail guns weren't trained on us. And when we realized that they were not trained on us, then we both were able to close up in loose formation with the bears and take some photos and take some video. We stayed with them as long as fuel allowed, and I don't remember how long that was. And then we had to return to Gander, and those bears continued southbound. They would have been intercepted by the Americans at some point after that, and probably kept pretty close eye on the whole way down the American coast until they broke off and headed for Cuba. And that was that. It was pretty exciting. Well, there was some apprehension. There was some excitement. We certainly were worried that we might miss them, when we first went out there. But as soon as we got them on radar, it was like, okay, this is it. This is what we train for. All the flying we did out of, Bagotville and going to exercises and whatnot was designed to prepare us to do an intercept like this. I mean, it wasn't a wartime intercept, obviously. We trained for that as well. But this was, the real thing. And it was not a lot of guys get to do the real thing. It's all about training and training and training. And so it was really exciting. And until we saw that the guns were not pointed at us, then, there was some apprehension until we realized that, there's no danger. They're not going to shoot at us, so, because you never really knew, you were pretty sure, 99%, but that 1%, that's your life that's out there, so, yeah. When we got the initial call, it would have been just, you're required at the QRA. And we would have been briefed when we got there. This is what it's all about. So we knew before we took off to go to Gander that we were going there in anticipation of going out and intercepting bears. So it was probably late in the evening when we got the initial call at home. I really can't remember specifically, but so we would have flown from Bagotville to Gander during the nighttime. And then by the time we took off, it was daytime, intercepted the bears, went back and refueled again in Gander, debriefed with the intelligence section with any information that we could give them about the airplanes, the numbers, and the tail numbers, or the door numbers we called them at that time, because that's where the Russians printed their aircraft numbers, was on the nose gear door, if I remember correctly. And then we would have returned back to Bagotville. And the trip out and the trip back, were fairly long. It was an hour and a half to get to Gander, and it was almost 2 hours to get back. And we were in the air on the intercept for almost 2 hours as well. But it was all within a 24-hour period. We were home before dark, I think, on the day that we came home. But it was a long day.